Hey superstars, welcome to the Get Rich Without Being a Bitch podcast, and I am your host Vanessa for this journey. We're going to be challenging some stereotypes, shattering glass ceilings, really looking at what it takes to live richly and to design a business that's going to support the life that you really want to be living. I'm going to be sharing lots of tips, tools, and strategies along the way, and I can't wait for you to join me on this journey. Hey superstars, welcome back. Vanessa here, and your host for the Get Rich Without Being a Bitch podcast. I have a really interesting question for you today. Are you playing full out, as in playing to win in your business, or are you playing not to lose? I'm going to unpack that one for you today because this is a really important question. And it showed up for me recently, actually. I'm going to go out of business for one moment. And I love to study myself, honestly, outside of business when I'm involved in physical activities. Now, some of you know me, some of you will have heard this before, but my sport of choice, my real love is the game of tennis. I took it on considerably later in life. I've probably been playing for about 10 years now. I love everything about tennis. I, again, just love the game. I love the strategy. I love the fitness level that it helps me to have. Of course, I love the cute outfits, right? I happen to play doubles, and I'm in a couple of different leagues, and I've played in leagues for a while. I even captain, right, one of the teams, and I've captained and co-captained for years. Give me a tennis tournament that's a big, any of the Grand Slams on television. I'm following them. I'm watching, YouTube videos. Like, I'm really into it. And I use tennis as a way to self-study, right? And build my self-awareness for how I'm showing up. And it reveals so much. So again, I'm going to share this with you because I think it's a really interesting place for you to build some self-awareness as well. It's outside of business. Sometimes we can see things easier. And oftentimes, many times, let's say, our patterns will show up in other places. There is a saying that says, how you do anything is how you do everything. I actually think that's a little trite, and it doesn't get into all of the nuances because I could frankly pick that apart. However, creatures of habit, and our patterns do show up. So how you do many things is how you'll also do other things as well. So let me share with you what happened on the tennis court this week. I have actually played 3 matches in the last 7 days. Now, it's rare that I would actually have 3 matches in 7 days. And interesting that 3 of them, all very different matches. And I have won all 3 as well. So this isn't necessarily about winning, right? It's about how did I show up inside of those matches? Now, 2 of those matches, I was very fortunate that I played with my partner, my British partner as well, Kay. And it's really fun because we grew up with new friends on the tennis court, and we discovered that we actually grew up in the same part of the UK in Kent. And we even had our first Saturday jobs, part-time Saturday jobs in the same shopping mall, right, in that part of Kent. So so many coincidences. So a week ago, let's say I'm going into my first win. I played a match. We went into 3 sets. And we won on the tiebreak 7-5. Everything in that match was incredibly tight. And I'm talking about the points, but frankly, I'm also talking about our bodies and the way that we played. So it was incredibly close. We came off of that court. We were grateful to have won. If you know anything about tennis, you'll know that that's an incredibly close score. And after 3 hours, we were both pretty exhausted. And we walked off the court and said, oh my gosh, thank goodness for that. And then we looked at one another and we both admitted that wasn't our best tennis. It really wasn't our best tennis. Now, we were a little too close to it, right, at the time to be able to unpack it and really understand what we had done. But a couple of the insights that came from that match when we were able to just get a little bit of a distance is we weren't playing our own game. We were really reacting to what was happening on the other side of the net, right? So we were getting sucked into somebody else's game, somebody else's strategy, if you will. And yes, we just happened to, we eked out that win. But what was so interesting is we weren't left feeling with that real sense of pride because we knew full well that we hadn't played full out. We hadn't left everything on the court, right? We actually hadn't played our smartest game. And our smartest game also means to be a lot more proactive, right? Getting those points quicker, ending things quicker, like aggressively going after the shots. So this is very much about playing to win as opposed to playing not to lose. And we realized that we had played not to lose, which is a very different game. It took us longer. It didn't leave us with that sense of pride. It left us feeling, a little safe, I guess is the word that I would say, right? Now, fast forward another week, we ended up playing again. And so now we've had a week. I'd had another match in the meantime, which had gone really well, and I'd played differently. And when Kay and I met on the court, the very first thing that we said is, we have no trouble like unpicking things, giving ourselves feedback so that we can better ourselves. Like we come together, like no ego, and we admit our mistakes and we can go, no, we have opportunities to improve things here. And we said, we're going to approach this differently. And we both declared at the beginning, we are playing full out. We are playing to win today. We are playing our game. We're going to be way more aggressive on the court. We're going to go for it. And what we both acknowledged was that going for it means we are going to make mistakes, right? And when you're playing doubles, there's most definitely that sense of, oh my gosh, I've made the mistake. I've let my partner down, right? It's about team. And you feel that in a match situation. But both of us said, no, we are going to play full out. There will be mistakes. But what we're going to do this time is we are actually going to celebrate each time we go for it, even if we don't win it, so that we really start to get our energy up. We're not celebrating the outcome per se. We are celebrating our performance, right? Our going for it, our playing full out, playing to win. And we did that for every point. It was a case of, hey, well done, Vanessa. Great for going for it, right? Well, after a few points, you imagine what happens. The nerves come down. We're no longer celebrating necessarily the win on the other side of the net. We're actually fixated on, no, we're going for it. And that was our commitment from the beginning. So after a while, we start to build confidence. We've made a few mistakes. Of course, we've hit things long. We've hit them out. We've hit them into the net. All of that happened. But yet, our mindset and our energy was in, but this is what we committed to, and we're sticking with it. Well, I can tell you that match, compared to the one where we were playing not to lose, we won it 2 straight sets in 1 hour. So a third of the time, really, really clean win. And we both came off of that match saying, oh my gosh, like that felt so different. We're like really proud of ourselves. We had some amazing points. We were super proud of our performance. And that's what playing full out really looks like, right? When you play to win and not to lose. So enough of the tennis. I hope I've got some tennis fans, by the way, listening to the podcast. And again, if you are an avid tennis fan, please let me know. Something that we have in common. And I'd also encourage you to watch how you play on the tennis court as well, because it will really show up those places, right? When you get nervous and you play safe. So we won, really clean win. How does this play out in business, right? And I want to give you some pointers. So when we play not to lose, we are more focused on not losing or what we stand to lose rather than what we stand to gain. That is really huge. And in business, that can look like, wow, I've got it to this level already. I'm really worried that when I want to take my business to the next level, I'm going to lose certain things. I might lose some revenue for a while. I might lose some customers, some clients, some team members. Yes, you might. That might happen. But what about giving your attention to what do you stand to gain? What do you really want? When we're playing not to lose, we're really putting our attention on fear. It's not on desires. Like fear is driving us here. We are playing safe. So what's actually really interesting, and again, it's why I love to put this into more the physical domain and really look at like what happens in my body when I start to play full out, or when I'm tight and I'm playing not to lose. When I'm playing not to lose, my body literally gets constricted. Right? I can literally feel myself getting smaller. My moves are just not as bold. They're not as confident. Like my body is really telling me the truth of how I'm showing up. And typically the more I show up like that, the more constricted and small I become. And the results, right, are there for themselves. That's what playing safe does for us. So we stay in, funnily enough, what we think is our comfort zone, yet it's not serving us at all. I would say as well, the other thing I've noticed about this when we're really playing not to lose is that there's a attention, a focus on what others might think. How might others perceive us? That fear of judgment, right? That fear of putting ourselves out there, really going for it, right? And then being judged. And again, in something like the game of tennis, we really see this. There are times when, I run across the net. I'm going to cut off that ball. I'm going for the massive move. And I slam it right into the net for everybody to see my error, for everybody to see me going for it, right? And failing. And yes, there's that risk of judgment, of course, right? I can't stop what other people think. But again, it's back to how am I going to judge myself? Really, how am I going to judge myself? So in contrast to when we are really playing full out, playing to win, this is going to be far more courage-based. It takes courage to go for what you really want. And it doesn't mean to say that fear is absent. Fear is always going to be there. But this is about being courageous, right? Building that muscle to go for what you really want and frankly, to bring fear along with you. And the more we practice that courageousness and that boldness, again, as I shared that example on the tennis court this week, the easier it gets because it truly is a muscle that we have to work. We have to work it before we feel ready. Otherwise, we're never building it. And it takes, many repetitions. And then we start to see, wow, this really works. Playing to win is about actively moving outside of your comfort zone. It's taking moves that feel risky, right? Playing to win is most definitely about a greater propensity for taking risks. And I'm not talking about foolish, uncalculated risks, right? There are certain moves on the tennis court that we shouldn't do, right? We might get injured. And frankly, we have such a low probability, especially at my level of playing, of actually achieving them. But there are some calculated risks that we can take and stretch ourselves. It's also about disconnecting from what others will think, right? Letting go of that fear of judgment. Who cares, right? But what if you're just really playing full out and feeling that sense of pride for yourself? So I ask you again, and get really, really honest. This is a place to be honest in your business because it's a game changer. I want you to go through and ask yourself, where am I playing so safe? Where am I playing not to lose? And put some very specific examples to that. Go through your day, go through your team, go through your, how you're allocating time, who you're serving, the clients you're serving, perhaps the team members, whatever it is. Perhaps it's frankly the products and the services that you're providing, right? And you're playing safe. You're playing not to lose. And what would it look like? How would it look different if you were playing full out to win? Because here's what I know. We can't guarantee, right? There are no guarantees. This is the irony of this. On either side, there are no guarantees. You don't have a crystal ball any more than I do. You can play it safe, play not to lose. There's no guarantee that it'll keep the same way that it is now. There's no guarantee that things won't start to go in the wrong direction. No guarantee whatsoever. There's no guarantee that if you play full out, you'll get exactly what you want. But here's what I know to be true. One of them definitely has a lot more possibility to it. And if there was one that I was going to bet on as a strategy, it's playing full out. Because you will learn so much more about yourself. You will expand. You will expand into new possibilities. You will tap into new creative ways to think. You will tap into deeper resourcefulness, grit, and resilience inside of yourself. And you will see what's truly, truly possible for you. And for the hundreds, thousands of women that I have coached right now, I don't think I can really find one real example of somebody that said they played full out consistently and didn't get better results for themselves. So I leave you with that today. I would love to hear your insights from today's episode. It's a really important topic. You are the leader in your life and business, and how you show up has a really powerful knock-on effect on everything else. It starts with you. That's what I'm leaving you with. As always, if you have enjoyed today's episode, please leave a 5-star positive review. Tell me what you loved. What would you love more of? How is this helpful? What are those paradigm shifts that it's creating for you? Please share it with another woman in business. Share it inside your circle. Other women need to hear these messages. That's also how you can add value in the world, is sharing resources that are valuable for you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe so that you catch the next episode.